Welcome. I am so excited for you to be here. I am so thrilled to talk to you about Change Talk. So, just so we don't waste each other's time, I want to ask you, are you guilty of caring so much that you want to help people to be and do their best? And are you guilty of sometimes jumping in and trying to save, either through convincing or really emphatically sharing what has worked for you? If you relate to either one of those, you are in the right place. Now, I will disclose that I am a serial fixer saver my whole life. I can't even blame it on my career. As a nurse, a health coach, and a leader, oh my gosh, I want to help people to be and do their best. I'm seriously invested. And I am deeply guilty of jumping in and trying to save. And it's like, I want to give the answers, I want to give the cliff notes so that the other person doesn't have to take a long period of time or go through any kind of suffering. If you relate, let me know. Yes, I'm raising both my hands and my leg. What I know to be true is that it's good that I want to support others to be their absolute best. It is also great that I want to jump in and help. I've also come to know that this is not the best way to help unless it's an emergency. If it's an emergency, what I'm about to share with you doesn't work. You really do need to step in and save. But most situations are not an emergency. And if you are a leader who wants to support other people to be and do their best, I invite you to consider Change Talk. Change Talk changed everything for me. It's funny, Change Talk changed. It really did. Not only did it save my career, but it also facilitated that deep need inside of me to support people to be and do their best, to amplify it, and to be really effective. So, Change Talk comes from motivational interviewing, and it is a skill set. And it's a very important skill when supporting someone to change, because when it comes to most changes, whether it's positive health behavior change or changes, let's just leave it at that. Positive health behavior change requires the person who's making the changes to be motivated. And where I went wrong in the first half of my life and career is that I was relying on my own motivation, when that's not what's going to fuel the change for someone else. It may work in the moment, but the moment they leave my presence, if they don't have their own motivation, they're not likely to change. So this has been my experience. And also, when you look at the research, this is exactly what happens. When it comes to health behavior change, the person who is changing, they must be fueled by their own motivation. So I want to share with you how to build this skill set. Now, I wonder, how familiar are you with Change Talk? So if you can assess on a scale of 0 to 10, how familiar are you? 0 being, this is the first time I'm hearing about it, Carla. Or 10, I teach it too. I've written a book. I know everything. Wherever you are on the scale, the goal is that by the end of our time together, so by the end of the next 7 to 10 minutes, you will move up by 1. That's our goal. Okay, change talk. It's a skill. It comes from motivational interviewing. It is the skill of you, the leader, using this skill set to draw out the other person's motivation and what matters most to them so that they can effectively change their health behaviors. And the first place you want to start is not with what you know or with convincing. The first place to start, if you are interested in helping someone else to change, is 1, to understand, is this change even important to them? And I know I used to be scared of finding out about importance because I was like, what if it's not important? And I've since then learned that it's actually really helpful to know if it's important. And it's okay if someone doesn't want to change, because now I know that I can either find what is important and support that change with someone else, or I can wait till the person is ready. Because remember, ultimately, for someone else to change, we need their motivation, not ours. So I want to encourage you to ask, how important is this to you? And use the same mechanism I just used. Use a scale. I love scales. Nurses love scales. So you can ask someone, how important is this change? Let's say for just for the rest of our time together, let's use the example of lowering stress. Let's say you're really wanting to help someone lower their stress. So I might ask the person, how important is it for you to lower your stress on a scale of 0 to 10? 0 being not important at all the way to 10 being the absolute most important critical thing in the whole world. And don't be afraid of their answer, even if it's low, because you can ask qualifying questions to support you to guide the person to change. So let's say they give the worst answer possible. Let's say they tell you 0. I am 0 interested in lowering my stress. I then invite you to ask this really powerful question of what would have to happen for this importance level to increase by 2. And you're asking this because now you are going to learn really valuable information about what matters to this person. So they might answer, I'd have to see the effects. It would have to hurt my home life. It would have to start to affect my performance. I'm just giving examples of what someone might share with you. And why this is so important is because change is not about you, it's about the other person. And this is a really helpful tool for you to start to understand what matters to this person and what drives them. Now, if for some reason they didn't give you a 0, let's say they said it's important to me to reduce my stress on a scale of 0 to 10, it's a 5. Cool. Now you want to ask, why did you pick a 5 and not a 3? This is psychologically important because you want the person to share with you why it's important. This is one of the first steps of change talk. It is you utilizing your skills, questions, reflection, to get the person to talk about what motivates them, what's important to them, and why they might want to change. So someone might say, well, I picked a 5 and not a 3 because I'm already having headaches from all the stress. Or I'm noticing that I'm having more sick days. Or I'm noticing that I'm getting more upset at home, and that I don't want to do that with my family. So you are now getting from the other person why this is important. It's not why it's important to you as the leader. What matters is why is it important to the person you want to support changing. It's not about you. And I know you're an incredible leader, and I know that you really want to help others to change. I also know that most of us, myself included, are really addicted to saving and fixing. It takes a lot of practice to have the other person be in the driver's seat. I know for me, there's times that I just don't trust. Like, I want to fix it. I want to be in control, and I feel like I know the answer. I've also come to know that while I do have expertise and while I do have some answers, I've come to know that it doesn't matter if I have the answer, because at the end of the day, what matters is what's important to this other person and their motivation for change. And there is room for my expertise. We will get to it in just a moment. So you've asked importance. You've gathered some information about why this is important or what needs to happen in order for it to be important. Now let's get to the change talk piece. So change talk is simply guiding someone to start talking about why they want to change, their desire, why they're able to change. So language like, well, I have done this before. I could lower my stress. I know I used to go on walks and that was helpful. Reasons: I need to lower my stress because it's starting to affect my home life. And their need, why they need to change. And we can guide that conversation. So this is where the part of you that wants to save and fix, you can feed that part of you by being intentional and asking questions that guide the person to talk about change. Again, we're using the stress example. You can ask a question that elicits desire. Why would you want to lower your stress? You can ask a question about ability. What have you done before to help lower your stress or manage it? You can ask a question about reasons. Why does it matter that you lower your stress? Or why do you need to lower your stress? If you are someone that really wants to help and feeds off of that, lean into these questions. Know that you need that person's motivation. Ultimately, the person's motivation is what will drive them to change, not your desire to help. But your desire to help can lean into asking questions that will elicit change. Now, what you want to do is ask questions that get the person talking about desire, ability, reasons, and need. And what naturally happens is that the person at some point is going to shift into commitment activation language. So what that looks like is maybe someone saying, I need to lower stress because it's affecting my family. I want to lower my stress because I want to feel better. And then at some point they might say, you know what? I want to go to those meditation classes, or I want to learn more about breathing. This is when you should get excited. I invite you to get really excited because this means they've stepped into commitment and it's now time to set a goal. So when you start hearing language about what I can do, what I will do, I'm ready, this should be a red alert of time to set a SMART goal, time to move towards the SMART goal, time to move from asking questions about why they might want to change to what will you do next? What is your next best step? If you are truly invested in supporting someone to be and do their best, when you hear them talk about what they can do, then you want to say, what is the next best step? And guide them to set a SMART goal. So remember, SMART is specific, measurable, action-oriented, realistic, and time-sensitive. So if this person is saying, I'm ready to take some classes about mindfulness. That's an idea. You want to guide the person to set a SMART goal, something that is specific, measurable, action-oriented, realistic, and time-sensitive. It would look like this. I will attend the Tuesday class once a week for mindfulness. You want to guide the person to verbalize in a specific way, time-sensitive, measurable, action-oriented, realistic, what they're going to do next. I encourage you, if you're already doing this, great, do more. If you haven't tried this yet, I invite you, when you find yourself wanting to help or save, to remember, okay, I can ask if this is important. How important is this? And I can gather some information about why it's important or what needs to happen for it to be more important. You can then start asking questions that elicit why someone wants to make the change, why they need to, their reasons and their need. And when you hear activation commitment talk, like, okay, yes, I am ready to go on walks to reduce my stress. That is a red flashing light for set a SMART goal. Guide the person to set a SMART goal. I know you will find that when you practice this more often, it really leads to supporting people to change in the best way possible. If any of this resonates, I invite you to practice. I'm going to be practicing this for life, because the more I do it, the more I find that I am supporting change that is meaningful to someone else and even more realistic because it's driven by their own motivation. It is absolutely thrilling. I find also that I'm not tired after the conversations because we're not using my fuel and gasoline to drive, which historically hasn't been as effective as when it's the person's motivation to change. If you have any questions, message me or let me know in the comments. And if any of this landed and resonated with you, let me know. Let me know. And let me know if you're going to be practicing more change talk. I am rooting for your success and my success too, because I'm working on this too, and wishing you nothing but the best. If this was helpful, please share with your network. Thank you.